This is WFYI News Now. It's September 11th, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. On today's show, new federal funds will upgrade roads in Indy to be safer. A downtown gathering for Indiana school administrators of color. New recommendations to address the mental health staffing shortage. And an equity group says the state should do more to place electric vehicle charging stations in Black communities.
We know that for many urban areas in Indiana, highways have been built through our communities, and they remain some of the most polluted communities in the state.
Those stories are coming up. But first, people in Indiana who want to vote in this fall's election have about a month left to register or update their registration. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Brandon Smith reports on what voters need to know ahead of the October 7th voter registration deadline.
To be eligible to vote, you have to be 18 years old by Election Day, a citizen of the United States, and have lived at your current address in Indiana for at least 30 days before Election Day. You're not eligible to vote if you're currently in prison. You automatically regain voting rights after leaving prison, though you may need to re-register. The easiest way to register or check your registration is by visiting indianavoters.com. You can also register by mail or in person at your local election administrator's office. When registering, you have to provide some proof of residence, and the easiest way to do that is by submitting your driver's license or state ID number or the last four digits of your Social Security number. You can also provide proof of residence via a current utility bill, bank statement, government check, paycheck, or government document that shows your name and address. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Brandon Smith at the State House.
According to the CDC, traffic crashes are the world's leading cause of death for children and young adults ages 5 to 29 years old. As WFYI's Samantha Horton reports, new federal funding will upgrade roads in Indianapolis to be more vehicular and pedestrian safe.
The U.S. Department of Transportation's Safe Streets and Roads for All program awarded roughly $20 million to the city of Indianapolis. The program aims to make roads safer for all, including pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. Of the 6 projects, most are located on the east side, along the purple and blue bus routes. Indigo president and CEO Jennifer Pierce said in a media release that the project will bring, quote, improvements such as upgraded Americans with Disabilities Act compliant bus stops and pedestrian infrastructure to support our local routes. The money complements other initiatives the city is taking, including the Vision Zero ordinance and proposed funding in the 2025 city-county budget. I'm Samantha Horton.
Nearly 150 administrators met in downtown Indianapolis Monday for a gathering about Indiana school administrators of color. From WFYI's Education Desk, Sydney Dauphiné has more on the Preparing for the Future conference.
The goal of the conference was to develop and recruit administrators of color in Indiana. School administrators from 30 public school districts across the state attended. Sharon Johnson-Shirley, superintendent of Lake Ridge Schools, was on the planning committee.
We have been lacking in the state of Indiana in numbers, and so this has given us an opportunity to grow more African American, Latina, all colors, to be part of this opportunity to be a superintendent.
While the conference was open to other administrators like grant writers and curriculum directors, Johnson-Shirley says the ultimate goal is to grow the number of superintendents. Some of the sessions included overcoming challenges as a school leader of color and self-care for educators. The majority of Indiana's nearly 300 public school superintendents are white. I'm Sydney Dauphiné.
Untreated mental illness cost Indiana more than $4 billion in 2019. Part of that is because there aren't enough mental health workers to support people. Side Effects Public Media's Elizabeth Gabriel reports on a playbook with new recommendations to address the mental health staffing shortage.
All 92 Indiana counties have a mental health workforce shortage. Some counties are doing better than others, but there are a lot of barriers. Hannah Maxey is the lead author of the new report at Indiana University. She says some providers don't serve people based on their insurance.
Not all of our workforce provides services to Medicaid beneficiaries. So even in a county where we might have seemingly enough professionals, that doesn't mean that they're available for the full population.
Maxey made 4 suggestions for addressing the shortage in mental health providers. One of them is to have more colleges provide shorter degree programs so students can join the workforce sooner. Elizabeth Gabriel, Side Effects Public Media.
And for our final story today. For 2 years now, an Equity Alliance said the state should do more to place electric vehicle charging stations in Black communities. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel reports now the Alliance has chosen its own preferred locations for the federally funded chargers in what it calls a Green Book.
The name is a nod to the segregation-era guidebook that listed safe places to stop for Black travelers. This Green Book lists 38 locations in underserved communities that could host EV chargers that qualify for federal grants through the Biden administration. While the state's picks so far are primarily at gas stations right off the highway, the Alliance's choices are mostly churches less than 5 miles away. Jordan Geiger is with the Indiana Alliance for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion of Electric Vehicle Charging Infrastructure and Economic Opportunities Development.
We know that for many urban areas in Indiana, highways have been built through our communities, and they remain some of the most polluted communities in the state.
The Alliance says the list proves that the state can ensure these communities benefit while complying with the rules of the federal grants. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
In a statement, the Indiana Department of Transportation said it would review the book and that it expects more funding for chargers will be announced in the fall. The Alliance also says it reached out to the Indiana Department of Environmental Management to partner on the state's application for the Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant, but IDEM hasn't responded. That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Drew Daudelin, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.